whatever, talk your shit like you always do.
Shama lama ding dong, him lama it. All right, come on. I just want to hear what it sounds like. I just want to see if it sounds balanced. Come on.
I gotta get my voice in there too, man. You over here saying all that gibberish shit.
Yeah, oh, that's you know what? Look, brother.
What the fuck? One. You're on.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to a new edition of the Mike and Damani Show. We had a very special guest today. Today, we're going to be talking about the realities of world travel and how awesome it is.
World travel.
Yeah, we got to get one of those buttons, but we don't got that yet.
Those horns.
Yeah, one of those horns. Boop, 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 boop. We'll get that. Yeah, eventually we'll get that. So, our special guest today, his name is Yusuf. He's traveled around the world, been to more than 36 and a half countries because he went in layover in Zimbabwe for a couple of days. It was kind of cool.
World traveler over here. That's cool.
Yeah, world traveler. Where in the world is Carmen Sandy Corley? All right, Yusuf. all right, Yusuf. Introduce yourself, man. Tell the people a little bit about yourself. Like where you're from, what's the last place you've been to?
All right, I can do that. Hi, everyone. I'm Yusuf Corley. I currently reside in Washington, D.C. I'm from Winter Park, Florida.
Winter Park, yeah.
Represent the camp. Yep, we in there.
Camp.
Then I moved up to D.C. I work here now. And before I started with my current company, I took an international job over working in Haiti, also Kabul, Afghanistan. And then from there, I had a lot of travel experiences that were company paid, of course, to Dubai and a few other places. And with that kind of opened a door for me to see, like, oh, wait, there's a lot more out there, how people live, from the things I've seen on TV, and then actually going to some of those places, like, for example, Kabul. And I remember the first time I was out there, I think I arrived in September 2011. And, I'm sorry, not September 2011, September 2013.
Close enough.
And, yeah, you can say that. So I remember the recruiter telling me that they have all 4 seasons there. And, me, I was thinking that, it's the middle of the desert. It's always going to be hot, whatever, without having really the full insight of what's going on that side of the world. So when I got there, being from Florida, I didn't really have clothes to suit cooler weather conditions.
So it actually gets really cold over in Kabul. Was it Kabul, right?
Yeah, Kabul. It gets all 4 seasons there. When it started to snow will go up to your chest.
What?
I'm 6 feet tall, and I had snow to my chest. So, yes, it gets all 4 seasons. It's extremely cold, but I would have never known that. But Kabul is actually located in the mountainous region in Afghanistan, so it obviously made a lot of sense. And also, one thing I noticed is being born in Florida, right? Altitude is pretty low. So going to work out in the mountains or just running around, walking around, I realized I was getting much tired than everyone else. And then once I realized we're in a mountainous region and we're high in altitude, I saw why I could only run 10 minutes and I'll be feeling like I'm going to die. So.
Damn, that's crazy. So hold on. It actually snows in Afghanistan? Is that what you're telling me?
Kabul, Afghanistan, because it is in a mountainous region. Yes, that is
true.
So
what? So it's snow? Okay.
So the crazy part about it, Damani, from what I heard is not only does it get cold there, it gets super hot there too. I'm talking like in 115, 120 degree weather.
Like, that's the desert. I'd expect that, but I don't expect it to snow.
So in the mountains, so think about any mountain pass you've been to. It's never been over 100, at least not to my knowledge. But no, Kabul didn't get hot. I mean, it got hot, but not 115. So Dubai, which is two hours away, or roughly 2 hours away. Now that's actually in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
So it can get that hot in Dubai, but that's not going to get that temperature in Kabul. So maybe in the southern parts of Afghanistan, but where Kabul is located is never going to I don't believe it reaches temperatures really much over 100 degrees.
Okay, but isn't Dubai like much lower altitude, so you weren't getting as tired as you were in Kabul, right?
Correct. That's correct.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
All right.
So yeah, that's very interesting. So in Kabul, do they have a lot of visitors? Because Dubai is only 2 hours away. Do they have a lot of visitors? Like, I don't know, go over there riding the sand dune, ATV, go skydiving, Dubai type stuff.
I was there for work, so I worked on one of the bases out there. So I actually don't know what was going on really on the outside parts of it.
Because you guys 12-hour shifts, right?
I didn't imagine it to be people coming in for tourist purposes, right? We're not exactly in the greatest of relations, so that was not happening. It was mostly people who were there were either military or civilian contractors.
Yeah, whenever you go overseas to those like Middle Eastern countries, especially on bases, you're not really allowed to leave base. Especially if it's considered a deployment, they don't really let you leave base, man, because those areas are pretty dangerous, dude. Especially if you go off base and they clearly know that you're not from the country, you know what I'm saying? Just by your image. Come on now. They're not just going to let you just walk into their country and just, I'm just going to go tour and see what's going on over here in the...
go take some selfies with some camels, make some sand angels. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, not going to happen, dude. There's a lot of people in the Middle East that doesn't like Americans, so that's not going to fly, bro. Not at all. So Yusuf, let me ask you a question. So, I know you were doing most of the travels for your job and whatnot, and you probably didn't get as much opportunity to kind of tour the areas. But is there any places that you went that you were able to kind of, go off and do your own thing and kind of, look around and, experience the culture or what?
Oh, so of course. So, the reason why I brought up my initial point or when my traveling started, so I started off in Kabul, Afghanistan, and also worked in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and I was overseas for about 3 years doing contracting work for that. But with that, I was able to, kind of experience more of the international lifestyle. And then that's what actually opened my eyes up to I like traveling and I want to go see a lot more places. So when I left Haiti, I came back to the States. But I no longer worked for a company that was paying for me to travel because it was contract work and the contract ended. But I still knew I wanted to travel, but I was really trying to find, the right group of people or just places to go where, I would really want to go. So with that, I ended up joining a group in DC via Meetup called Young Blacks Who Travel. And it's
I heard about them.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay. It's the age ranges from 20 to 30. That's, the target group of people that are in that age range. We travel together. And then with that group, I've probably been to maybe about 6 places between this year and last year. So, but I also do a lot of travel by myself as well because I like to just get up and go. When I like to get up and go, I just get up and go.
Mm-hmm.
So you asked about one of my favorite places or things that I like to do or when I venture out. So just this was actually last year. So last year back in late June of 2017, right before my 30th birthday. Woo!
Happy birthday! Yeah.
Well, yes, it's July 3rd, but yes, thank you. Thank you for the early or late birthday. I'll take it.
It's both.
So yeah, last year in June for my 30th birthday, I did like a Euro trip. with like the final destination being in Greece. But to start off, I flew into Amsterdam. The red light district was not like I envisioned it to be. It was
Okay, wait. What was the red light district like? They were like real. Weren't as attractive as you thought.
no, I mean it's just that it seemed a lot. So well, actually, it'll be better. You guys tell me what you think the red light district is like,
All right.
and then
When I think about the red light district, I mean, like how you always see in those stoner movies, you got the group of people that go to the red light district. They have like I don't want to say prostitutes, but women that like to have fun, like in the windows, where they have like a red light and they're like displaying themselves through the window. Like if you're walking down the street in New York and you walk past a Macy's and they have like the displays, that's what I would imagine.
Yeah, but
and
I feel like it's probably not only women, but it's probably women.
Yeah, men too.
Men,
yeah,
and
man.
the combination of both genders.
Yeah. Oh yeah, midgets. Why not?
No, I didn't say midgets, but
Well,
what I'm talking. What was it? Oh man, I don't even know the HBQTF whatever that community. There you go. The LBGTQRATF.
ZLR.
I will carry on.
What? No, okay, but are we close? Are we close?
Yeah.
I don't even know if you guys named the whole alphabet right there. I don't know.
Well, okay. Well, besides the LBQRF stuff, I'm talking about like the midgets. They got clowns. They got a couple hermaphrodites in there.
So you guys knew more than I did, because when I got there, I envisioned it to be sort of like a Bourbon Street, but with the red light mentality. So yes, it was the mine actually exactly like you described, where they have women in windows really, and then I guess you go to them and they have like a timer and you hit the timer is like 30. I'm not sure. I think they had to negotiate different times.
Really?
And also a disclaimer, I never participated. I just walked around and I looked, but I didn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, whatever. I don't believe that. So you mean to tell me you was walking through the red light district, drinking and smoking, and you seen the chicks in the window and you didn't want to go inside?
I don't believe that.
Another full disclaimer, I only drink it. I do not smoke.
Or edibles. Why not edibles? That's fine.
You just had to put that one out there.
Well, it's Amsterdam. Come on, dude. Whenever you hear Amsterdam, everybody thinks about smoking weed. Come on.
No, that's not what I thought about. I went to Amsterdam for the
red light district.
Anne Frank Museum.
Okay,
so
okay.
It has the Holocaust, and like the Holocaust, and they had all the stories and history in the Anne Frank Museum there.
Yeah,
it was actually very good. But just to go back to finish up on the red light district before I move on, so I guess the way that I envisioned it wasn't. So when I got out there and I saw that, I'm like, oh, this is kind of aggressive. So I was like, and I went to one of the local bars that was actually kind of near the red light district. Because I went actually on a guided tour. I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. But I went on a guided tour and they gave us the history of the red light district. And then after you hear some of the stories about how some of the women ended up there, where that they're, kind of, like gangs are kind of controlling, so they take them from not really take them from their home country, but it's sort of like,
holy shit.
Yeah, like sexual traffic or sex trafficking or something like that.
Yeah, so they have some of that. Some of them are working there because they want to, but there's also people who are working
forced to work there. Yeah,
exactly.
Ah, man, that's horrible.
Yeah, so like when you hear things like that, you just kind of take a different vibe for it, and maybe 10, maybe even 5 years ago, I ain't gonna, maybe 5 years ago, I might have had a different mindset, but just not knowing the things that I know now is like.
That kind of does. That kind of a big buzzkill.
I mean, that is true. I mean, I would feel the same way too.
Yeah. So anyway, I ended up at one of the bars there, and the best thing I like about Europe is that people are always from different parts of the world there, or just different parts of Europe.
Yeah.
So I went to the bar, and they call it pub there, and I just went to grab some drinks, and then I saw there was 2 African girls that were engaged with, I guess, 2 British guys, and but they kind of like called me over there and introduced myself, and we're just all chatting it up. But it was just like an interesting mix of people there from all over the world. This guy from Texas came in, and he was like, diehard Texan, and so a diehard American that's in another country, but don't think you still be catered to America. So like, you might want to chill a little bit. But,
Oh, he's one of
yeah,
those guys. He's one of I need French fries and extra ketchup with a cowboy hat.
Bro, anybody from Texas, they rep Texas super hard, bro. I don't know what it is about Texas, bro.
He was a super Texan with he was a cowboy hat Texan without wearing his cowboy hat. But like as
damn.
Mike said, that he repped Texas very hard. It was
Yes.
like, all right, man, cool. But he said he was there doing a construction guy, and he was actually with a guy who was also from Texas who he worked with, but this guy was Mexican, and you could see the dynamics, or at least I could see that this guy he didn't really want to be with him, but because he worked with him or worked for him, that he was just like, oh, I gotta be with this guy. I can't really be out here enjoying myself. So I understood the guy. But anyways, that was first night I was in Amsterdam. The next day I went on a guided tour where I was telling you more about the history of, or the red light district, things like that, the history of the country, and how they say that they invented the stock market there, and how what stock was basically the concept of what stock came, right? So they had large shipping companies, that the Indian Trade Company, I believe, was there, or formed there, and that's what they used with merchants to go around ship goods off to different parts of the region. And at one point, I think in the 1700s, Amsterdam was one of the most powerful nations because they had a lot of money there.
Yeah.
So the concept of stock really came to where people would put money to get, let's just say I had like a 10-foot piece of stick, right? And then for us to buy stock of the stick, you would say, you put $500 in, and they'll break off what they consider $500 worth of that stock, and then give you that stick. That means you own stock in that shipping company, essentially.
Okay.
So they use it tangible, like a stick, and they'll just, as you put the money in, they'll break it off, and you own that percentage share of the company.
That's cool.
So so with that concept, right, with people putting more money in to buy segments of the ship, they were able to buy bigger fleets and able to ship out more goods, and that's how they became profitable or made a lot of money during those times. Now, the downfall, which is quite sad actually, so since they made a lot of money, right, the value and property value of homes and everything like went through the roof. And then one of their big markets was the sale of roses, or
tulips, right? It was tulips.
Yeah, tulips, probably tulips. Correct. Yeah. Thank you, Monty. So tulips was the state. You were high class if you owned tulips, and men, women were spending maybe equivalent of. It was a high number. I want to say like hundreds of thousands of dollars, because the way that people realized that this was not a good investment was when one guy had a drawing of 2 tulips could buy one house, or one house here.
Oh my gosh.
And from the story, once people realized that the tulip market crashed and Amsterdam basically started to go broke.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. I remember I heard about that story. Like tulips, they would buy the tulips, the ones that would have like a little virus inside of them, so they have multicolored tulips instead of, they would be like purple and yellow, and like one tulip bulb, like you said, could buy an entire house. And then when that market crashed,
I don't know all like what I just know that if you had tulips, like tulips was considered like your high class, because the more tulips you had, obviously the more wealthy and the higher.
Interesting.
So yeah.
And though they still sell tulips now like crazy, right? Isn't Amsterdam like the #1 place to buy tulips and daisies and like lavender and all that?
I was only there for 2 days. I got out of there, right? The next time I took a train and I went to Bruges, Brussels. No, sorry. Bruges, Belgium. Brussels was a stop along the way. But Bruges is where they had it's a movie, I believe it's on Netflix. If not, it's Amazon Video. But it's called In Bruges, I believe. Brugge. And they show like, I don't know, I never saw the movie, and I was told I should have seen it by the tour guide that was out there, but never got around to it. But I actually recommend probably watching it, because Bruges was a beautiful city. It was amazing out there, a lot of history. And I also heard a story about the stock market out there, and I was like, wait, they said the same thing in Amsterdam. But if you look at the proximity of the two countries, right? You see
They're
that
really
there's
close.
pretty close. Yeah, they're pretty close. And also the most important thing in history is only as good as the conquered, right? So
Hmm.
whoever was the last to conquer a certain nation, they can rewrite the books of history during those times. So
During what? I mean, today. What?
well, I'm sorry, today and during those times, but especially more during those times because there wasn't like we have the internet now, so things can be recorded,
Oh
even they
yeah,
could be altered. But things are more,
true.
tracked and recorded digitally, so things are not, burnt down and lost forever
Hmm.
in history. Um, so, anyways, and Bruges was a very beautiful city. I really actually enjoyed my time because it was nice, peaceful, very bike friendly. I remember renting a bike and just riding all throughout the city and all that. So I had a good time there.
That's pretty cool.
Um,
So that means when you were traveling around Europe, did you notice that there was way less cars and more like electric little trains and buggies and like little electric bikes and more
so I definitely say
eco-friendly stuff?
people, it's so public transit is very they use it a lot there. Not everyone owns cars there. The people bike, walk. Um,
Would you
you know,
compare Europe to, as far as public transportation, to like New York or California, like the big metro cities in the
yeah, it's
US?
like a big metropolitan area, but it's a lot better. They have better facilities and structures and facilities out there,
Okay.
at least from what I've. And then, but as far as what you mean, like people using public transportation, it'd be similar
Yes.
to like New York, correct?
Okay. So as far as the culture, how would you I guess compare the culture in Europe compared to the United States? You know what I'm saying? Like you went there and you're obviously people probably recognize you as a tourist, or if they didn't recognize you, how did you feel, as far as the culture embracing you being there? I know you weren't there for long, but at the
Yeah,
same
did you feel welcome? Did you feel
yeah.
like welcome?
Well, so actually for me, I kind of feel quite welcome everywhere I go. I mean, the way I look at it is like if you treat someone with respect, they normally would treat you with respect.
That's true.
Hmm.
Uh, um, and believe it or not, I've actually been overseas. And when I go to random places, I get treated better than if I go to random places here. So you
That's
asked
understandable.
so you asked about the culture of Europe, right? But
Mhm.
Europe is actually a pretty big country, right? And if you look at the U.S. in size and compared to Europe, it's probably about the same size. So if you think about just even the U.S., right? New York is not comparable to, Arizona, and Arizona is not compared to Utah and vice versa, right? So
Yeah, but
the
but
culture,
you
the
can
way that cultures vary in the U.S. is similar to like in Europe.
yeah, but
Um,
you can still kind of differentiate the culture. Like for instance, whenever I travel, like for instance when I went to Mexico, um the Central America and South America period. I've been to Mexico, I've been to Peru, I've been to different Spanish speaking countries, and yeah, they might kind of have the same culture a little bit, but they're different in a lot of ways. You can still kind of differentiate the culture there from, for instance, United States. Like when I go overseas, for instance, to those countries, like you said, you feel a lot more welcome, especially if they know that you're a tourist. But at the same breath, you just feel a whole different feeling from being in the United States, and that's kind of what I'm asking. Like when you go to Europe or any countries overseas, like how do you feel compared to when you're here in the United States? Like say you go vacation in freaking, I don't know, Colorado or something like that. Like do you get treated better when you're over there? Do you get treated better when you're here? Like do you feel like this is like I can do this forever here, or do you feel like when you go overseas it's like 10 times better?
That's a pretty loaded question. All right, I'll try to break it down. So you're asking. So I'm still gonna relay back to my first point,
Mm-hmm.
right? So let me put it this way: Would I live in Indiana? Probably not. Like the Rust Belt states in the U.S. Probably not. But I wouldn't compare those some of the places in the U.S. Like, but I love living in D.C. I enjoy going to New York. I enjoy Cali. So there's places that are vastly different in the U.S. compared to other states in the U.S.
Yeah.
Right. So, so that's like my point when I say about Europe. Like, there's places I really love, and my favorite place in the world, at least top two, is Barcelona, Spain.
Okay.
So could I live there? I'm not. I mean, I'm not fluent in Spanish, nor do I even speak that much Spanish, but I know enough to get by.
Okay.
But Barcelona, Spain was like one of the most beautiful, most pleasant places I've ever been to. And like I've only been to like between 35 to 40 countries, so I haven't been that many places. But
what, bro? Most people haven't even left their state, so you've been to a lot of places, man.
Most Americans are like that, but
yeah, most Americans.
My good buddy in London went backpacking for 6 months through South America and hit like what 10 countries. So people like take adventures, and if you're in Europe, it's easy to jump around countries and like build up your stat sheet. So you kind of need to count states when Europeans are counting Europe, because it's kind of cheating in my opinion.
Yeah, true.
All right, so
yeah, but back to the same way, like you were just talking about how each state, like Indiana's not like Florida or New York's not like California. So say, for example, how you just said your friend would one of your friends would backpack across Europe. Would that be comparable to, say, an American backpacking across America? So that way it would travel from like Florida, do like a road trip and stop in each state. And I mean, just comparable. It's comparable. And would
you do that?
Is the same? Yeah, would you do that? And is it like the same pricing wise?
Well, see, they have like a lot of hostel, like this, because people backpack all the time. I mean, people backpack a lot in the U.S. too, but backpack a lot in Europe, and they could just, because it's easy to get around. You have great transit systems out there.
Yeah, I feel like you couldn't do that here.
For a very nominal fee. So people every time I'm out there and I take public, like the train to go from country to country, I was actually enjoy riding a train because I get to see a lot of countryside.
And you said it's affordable, right?
Yeah, it's extremely affordable. I mean, it's longer than a flight, but it's like you could pay like £10 for some rides, some of like 30, 40 pounds, which is not much money when you get to go from one country to another.
Exactly. So I feel like that's not comparable to the U.S. though, because if I wanted to go from California to New York, that's going to cost me at least $200 to take the Amtrak, especially if I want a round trip ride, like go there.
Oh, no, it's going to cost way more than $200 on Amtrak.
Exactly. But that
also would be like a
cross country
trip. Yeah, that's not comparable, right? No one's taking a train that far.
But that's what I'm saying, though. That's what I'm saying. There's no. All right. So for Europe, it sounds like there's public transportation that can take you from country to country. Here in the U.S., there's no public transportation that's going to take you from state to state. Like, it doesn't exist. Like, you have to take
Amtrak does do that,
but that's Amtrak. But I'm talking like, like I can't take the Metro bus from New York to go to Florida.
Well, you can take the Chinaman bus.
Yeah, but you can take Greyhound. There's other options. Like,
but
I get your point. Yeah, but that's what people are doing in Europe. So there's more train systems there to get you from spot to spot.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about.
So essentially, like Europe,
but you still could drive or take buses, because people drive or take buses out there as well. So there's still the options that we have here. They have over there, but I would say the train systems are far superior.
Yeah, and that's all I'm talking about. I'm addressing that. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that as far as public transportation in the UK, Europe, whatever the case may be, like you said, it's far more superior. It's actually a lot more
train system.
Yeah, I think it's probably superior. Yeah, it's superior to our public transportation out here. I feel like
you're saying Europe in broad terms, and I haven't been. Not all the trains in Europe are good, because train is
okay. I guess
countries on the different tracks, and there's different carriers. So
I guess I can't speak on it then. So let me keep my information to myself then, because you're the expert here.
Yeah, well, I mean, based on what Yusuf's saying and what some of my friends that have went to Europe, based on what you guys are saying, when I conglomerate all that information, it kind of sounds like it's easier to travel around Europe and sightsee than it is around America. Like, okay, do you think it would be a fair statement?
Yeah,
but do you think it would be a fair
exactly.
statement
I
to
agree,
say?
because think about it, we only have one national passenger train company, and that's Amtrak.
Exactly.
In Europe, they have several. I'm not sorry, even more, like probably like over 20
Damn.
or 30, all over Europe, like various train operators there that go from certain countries to certain countries, right? So, and they run at multiple times because so many people use it. It runs so frequently, and it's not. Whereas America is more of a capital society, well, it is a capital society, and Europe is more socialist. So they have more, better funding. I mean, it's higher tax
for their metro system.
better funding for public transportation system. So that's why there's a much more well upkept than what we have over here.
The interesting thing is China, my buddy just went to China, and he said the same thing that you're saying too. It's like, anytime he needed to go somewhere, like the train was super accessible. Mind you, every time he walked outside, it was almost like, rush hour in New York, like friggin' 12 o'clock, 9 to like 8 o'clock at night. There's like a million people outside, like taking the train. He's like rubbing elbows with everybody. It was crazy, but at the same time, if he needed to go somewhere, it was super accessible. Like it was right there. You can go anywhere basically, and it wasn't difficult to find, public transportation versus, you come to a place like in California, depending on where you're at, you have to walk a pretty far distance to get to the train or to take the bus, or you got to spend, before Uber came out, at least, you had to spend quite a bit of money to get to places, especially when there was traffic on the road. Because, we all know there's a lot of traffic in California, especially LA. I can say the same for New York too, where Damani's at.
Yeah, it's traffic like crazy. So then would you think it would be a fair assessment to say that they kind of discourage in America, they discourage travel compared to other countries? Because just like Mike said, you compare it to China's friends over there, you're comparing it to Europe because Yusuf's been over there. And then I can also compare it to like Costa Rica, Central America, which is actually pretty easy to get around. I mean, you put your hand up, you can get a taxi easy. It's not crazy expensive. So I think it would kind of be a fair assessment to say that I don't know why, but I feel like they kind of discourage travel within the 48 connected states. For some reason, I don't know why. Maybe it's just because the infrastructure is not there, or maybe.
Well, you got to remember too, Damani, that I guess you can. I think this may be a reason. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure people are gonna bully me by saying this, but some of our states are kind of separated in a political way. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody.
Well, no, you can't even make that assessment, because if you connect the politics from like Germany to Italy, or even like Greece to UK, the Greece is like falling apart. UK is like having their Brexit stuff, but you can still travel between each country relatively easy. So it's like, just because Florida's a red state, New York's a blue state, it shouldn't be that difficult to travel within the country between those states. They're discouraging us from exploring our states.
Yeah, so let me chime in. I agree with Damani. I don't think the political climate has nothing to do with the transit systems or the public transportation. It actually has everything to do with where you're located.
Okay.
So being that I live in Washington, D.C., the public transportation here, and for me to get to New York, get to Philly, get to New Jersey, all that is actually very easy for me. And it can be just like how you say your friend went to China and he was able to get from point A to point E very easy. Well, that's because if you look at his location in China, it was probably one of the major cities there. He didn't go out to the countryside or, just the middle of the country somewhere in no man's land, Alabama, right? So it really comes down to where you live at in proximity to metropolitan areas. Because the way you name spots in China that have major transit systems and public transportation, I could easily name places that are in the country that don't have any of that stuff, right?
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
similar. so it's similar to like all places I've been to. So it's, even in Europe, they have places where you can easily access public transportation, and they don't, right? So it
Mhm.
really just depends on what you're looking for and what you want. Now, to come back to America, right? I believe America has good transit systems. It could be a lot better, and supposedly with the new tax bill and the new legislation from this administration, we should have a lot of funding for better public transit systems. But that, those things take a lot of time, and to
Yeah.
be comparable to, I was in Singapore earlier this year in February. Their airport is amazing. But just to get more on scale with some of the modern technology, that's going to be a huge financial impact on our country. And, just how slow moving things are, I don't really see that stuff happening anytime soon. But
Yeah.
I'm sure it will happen.
So
But
another
I just wanted to be clear that in all places that I've been to, it has the more busier cities, the places that I would normally go visit, because that's how I usually like to visit the cities or wherever I go, the major cities.
okay.
Um, always have good public transportation, and that's
Okay,
the
so
same here in the U.S.
so what you're saying is public transportation is determined by population density that in the US at least as far as how good it is because that's kind of what I'm
Yeah, I
drawing
would
from what
agree.
you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. The
Yeah.
places
Hundred
that have
percent.
a lot of people there, they can't have everyone on the road, so they have to build the proper um, public transit systems to keep the traffic down and
Okay.
pollution down.
All right. So to kind of move on from that topic, what how would you I guess what advice would you give people that either they're young or old and they're looking to kind of travel and kind of tour the world because I know a lot of people they're afraid to go to a new country because they hear these stereotype about this country doesn't like these type of people or this is happening in that country or whatever. Like, how can you settle their anxiety and let them know, like, this is something that you should possibly do, just go ahead and enjoy yourself, I
Yeah,
guess.
let them know the reality of it, because just like Mike said, a lot of people, like my sister's about to be moved, might be moving to China, and the amount of people that told her, "Oh, they're so racist over there. They're so racist. Be careful." But America's racist. How many black kids getting shot by cops in their grandma's backyard? So if I can live in America, I'm pretty sure I can go over to China without worrying about the kind of problems I got to worry about. So let's let people know like the reality of it, because a lot of people think a lot of countries are a lot of ways, but they don't think about how it really is. Like when you were talking about Kabul, it snows, it rains, they get all four sneezings. Like let them know the reality.
Seasons.
Okay, well,
Sneezes, yes.
like what I said in the very beginning, right? So back when I first started traveling, and I need to make a correction, it was back in like September 2011, not 2013, right? I went
So
to the
this was
first
right
places I went
after
to,
the right after. Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
um, so yeah, so when I went out there, I've been to a couple of places in the country, like Jamaica, and I believe I was in Canada before I went to Kabul to work out there. But like I said, I went out there with preconceived notions, like, oh, this is what I should expect when I get out there.
Mm-hmm.
But once I got there and I actually lived out there for a little bit, I'm like, man, this ain't nothing like what they was on TV.
Okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
and that helped open my eyes. I remember when it was snowing out there, and then we were driving one of the vans going from, I believe, one of our bases to another base, right? And there
Mm-hmm.
was little kids like picking up snowballs and throwing it at the car, and I laughed because I was like, man, if I grew up somewhere where it snowed, that would be what I'm doing. So it was cool, kids doing the little mischievous things that I was doing as a kid. And so that's just what gave me like opened my eyes to like the
Mm-hmm.
world's much bigger than the way that it's portrayed on TV. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I say, hey, I want to go out there and see what else is out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I know a lot of people in the states have their misconceptions of how people are, but like I said in the very beginning, if you treat someone nice and respectful, most likely they will treat you back nice and respectful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
true.
don't go out there carrying the arrogant of I'm an American, so you need to care to me. If I'm in a Spanish speaking country, I actually attempt to speak my best Spanish, right? Because if people come over to the US, people expect them to speak English. And when they don't speak good English, you know, a lot of times Americans are not the nicest when they don't
Yes,
speak
that
English.
is true.
Yeah,
They're
man.
very rude about
So,
it.
For
so
no
I
reason.
I make sure to do my part, and you know, even if I don't like, for example, I can speak Spanish, okay, but when it was French or you know German, like I can't. I do my best, but I pull out Google Translate real quick. You know when people are nice stuff because I'm very nice when I approach them. So it's usually just like you know if you're in that manner, people are generally respectful back to you.
Yeah. So I want to touch on a point, going back to what I was saying before about people having these preconceived notions about places that they've never been before, but because they see how it is on TV, they just assume that's how it is in real life. For instance, I don't want to kind of put her on blast, but my wife is a perfect example. Before we went to Jamaica, she had this idea that she's gonna go there, everything is gonna be like rocks and dirt, and yeah, she like basically assumed
Oh
that
shit!
she's gonna see people like what you would see in like a National Geographic's book, and it was. Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, sorry. Oh yeah. So she had this idea that what
Mute
she was
button,
gonna
mute
see is like I said, people that was on National Geographic's book, or she just had this idea that because it's a third world country, it just was not gonna be, whatever. So she was afraid of going. And I had to reassure her multiple times before we even got there on the airplane. I showed her pictures, because in Jamaica, my family lives in a nice area. We have a nice house, and all of that. And I just want you people out there that's listening to this podcast to know that don't believe everything that you see on TV, reading books, whatnot, till you actually physically experience it for yourself. Then you can keep that or maintain whatever, feeling that you felt when you're there. Because if you go over there thinking, what you have seen on TV, especially if you watch it on Fox, that's a low-key joke.
Gosh.
Don't go there with that idea and that arrogance and that American arrogance, thinking that because you're from America you're better than anybody else. Be a humble person and just go with the idea that I want to experience that culture and just immerse myself into that culture. And when you leave, you leave and you take whatever beliefs and whatnot, and you bring that with you. You keep that that experience that you experienced when you went over to whatever country you did, and I'm assuming
you gotta
that's
go over there and enjoy yourself.
Yeah,
like don't like you said, don't go with no preconceived notions. But people got to remember, like TV, whenever you watch stuff on TV, it's called television programs, programming you to think a certain kind of way. So just like everybody keeps saying, when you watch TV, you got to take a lot of this stuff with a grain of salt, because TV, the same stuff I could watch on TV. I could watch a man climbing a wall and shooting web out of his hands. That's on TV too. So you got to remember, is take that stuff with a grain of salt. Mm-hmm. Unless you physically go there, don't assume that people are going to be sitting down on mud huts and making mud patties and dressed in rags and running around with tires for shoes. Come on. So ridiculous. I mean, that kind of, yeah, bro, that really bothers me. Like for me, when I was 18, me and my dad and my cousin, we went to Kenya and Ethiopia. Like, honestly, when you hear the word Ethiopia, you're like, oh, I'm going to go over there, bro. They're going to be eating mud patties. People going to be, I don't know, bro, like drinking milk from goats. Like, come on, it's Ethiopia. When you hear that and if you go on Google or go on TV and type in Ethiopia, you know what you're gonna see.
Yeah,
but that's a preconceived notion.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it was nothing like that. It was nothing like that at all. The city that I went to in Ethiopia, I went to Addis Ababa. Addis Ababa, honestly, is probably like Orlando. The size of it is as big as Orlando. Mm-hmm. There's street. Mm-hmm. It looks just like Orlando, except obviously it's more black people walking around. Mm-hmm. And obviously the buildings and the clothing and the culture does look much different, but it's nothing like you would expect if you were to just watch TV and expect what you have been programmed to receive and expect what's there. And then when I went to Kenya, I went to Nairobi. Nairobi is like New York, bro. I remember when I saw there was some metro buses driving around the streets. They had Biggie and Tupac spray painted on some of these metro buses, and I was just kind of like, I was 18, so that was years ago. That was my graduation present when I graduated from high school. So I kind of didn't expect to see that when I went over there. So just like how Mike was saying earlier, you just gotta go over there with an open mind and don't have any preconceived notions. Go with an open mind, enjoy yourself, and don't be an arrogant douche. Just enjoy yourself.
Mind you, you know, don't get me wrong. You might there's some of the stuff that they do show, you know, it might be true, but
that's like the most extreme of extreme cases.
Exactly.
Extreme cases. Because trust me, there's places in America I could go to. I can go to the Appalachian Mountains in like Tennessee, and there's people living in dirt rubbles, like garbage, heaps of garbage. Appalachian Mountain, bro, and that's America, dude.
And
like trailer parks, horrible, dude.
Doesn't mean the whole country is like that, okay?
Exactly. I can go to Detroit. Detroit is like fucking the Wild West. There's no heat. There's no water. People are drinking lead for like the past 3 years. People don't got no jobs. There's no police. There's no fire department. It's just like the Wild West over there, and that's America. But if you were to judge every country or continent based off of a snapshot of the worst situations, then nobody would travel anywhere because everywhere looks very dangerous. So don't judge by snapshots, guys. Life is not a snapshot. It's a panoramic view.
That is true. Hey, I like that. I'm going to use that. I like that.
Copywritten. No, copywritten.
Yeah, so Yusuf, any advice you want to give, any more advice you want to give to travelers out there? I know I wish I had done that coming out of college. I know a lot of people, they said the best time to travel or do most of your traveling is right after you graduate college, because, you know, right before you get into the workforce is probably the prime time to, you know, take a break and enjoy yourself as much as possible. I believe a friend told me that a year, 6 months to a year is probably the most amount of time, or the optimal amount of time you should take right after college. But, you know, in your situation, I don't think you did that. You just did it through work and other means. So what advice do you have to give in regards to that?
My general advice is, you know, just be open to go to different places. Like usually when I start off the year, I don't know what countries or places I want to go visit. I typically let the flight deals dictate where I go. Okay. So if I, like, for example, I went to Singapore, I had no intentions to going to Singapore this year. But in May of last year, there was a flight deal for like $350 round trip from New York to Singapore. So $350, I'm like, well, I'm definitely jumping on that. That's $350. I can easily get over there and do whatever. So $350 was my flight to get there, and I went with my travel group, right? So since we share prices for hotel and things like that, I think the total for hotel and my flight was like $700 total. Mm-hmm. And I was out there for like 6 days. Mm-hmm. So just stuff like that. Like I normally let the prices dictate where I go. Mm-hmm. And then if I'm going to Europe, once you get to Europe, it's easy to take the local trains, or the flights in Europe are also very cheap as well. So, I mean, it's just a lot of apps. And because I know how to search, and, you know, I use like Google Flights and just see what's out there, what's available. And that's what I usually use to dictate my flights. I'm not the guy who's out there spending $2,000, $3,000 each time I go out the country. I can't afford that. Right? Yeah. I would rather go see multiple places than see, you know, one or two places. Like eventually I want to go to Fiji and some of these nicer resort areas, stay at the most highest accommodations. But right now,
but you don't have to.
The travel group sorry? Yeah, no, I don't have to, and I don't, because the more I try to take as many trips as possible. So I try to keep them as budget friendly as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
But obviously, as I continue to get older, and then I'll have my girlfriend with me. I'm gonna want to do nicer places, but I just want to be able to do those as frequent for the time being.
Yeah.
Of course, later on, I'll be doing any frequent vacations, nice vacations as possible. But for now, I'm doing quantity and quality over just straight quality.
Yeah, forget that. So you could definitely pack in way more experiences with the same amount of money, way more experiences.
Hey, I agree with you though, Yusuf. I know I booked my trip to Thailand. Supposed to go for my anniversary this year, but we ended up pushing it back. And the tickets to Thailand was super cheap. Like the hotel, I believe the hotel was anywhere from like $20 a night for a 5-star hotel.
What the hell?
Yes.
Hold on. This is a hotel. It's not a hostel. You're not gonna get like fed
it's
sugar packets the whole time you're there.
Thailand is extremely cheap. So no, that's right.
Yeah, I was like, this is ridiculous. So the flight was probably the most expensive thing of the whole package because I bought in a package deal and I think I spent anywhere from like I don't remember. I think it was somewhere around 1,000 and change, or it might be a little bit less than that. And that came with everything. We're gonna be there for 12 days. That's a flight, round trip flight for me and my wife, and the hotel stay. And we paid like the tour guide to take us around, and everything came up to around like $1,000, I believe. And I was
Holy
like,
shit.
this is awesome, man. So it's not like I wanted to go there to blow money. Like if I wanted to go to like I don't know, Paris or something like that, like I would probably try to scrape pennies together to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to blow a whole bunch of money. Like I want to go somewhere, like you said, was it quantity over quality? Yeah, like I want.
No, I said quantity / quality over quality. I do want to make sure there are places that I want to go.
Yeah.
So, but I like I said, I wait for flight deals,
Mm-hmm.
or I let the flight deals more dictate. So I can start off if I know I want to go to, say, again, Barcelona, right? But if the flight to Barcelona is like $1,500,
then
exactly. Maybe I could fly to London or go through from like using WoW Air. Normally they have pretty cheap flights.
Yeah.
Go through London through WoW Air, and then I'll catch a flight there from London to get to Barcelona. So I mean, there's ways if you know how to like kind of price it out and like plan your trip accordingly to still do a lot of different things. So that's what I mean by the quantity / quality over quality. Because if you do a straight flight, I mean,
it's gonna be expensive.
You might be paying like $1,500. So you just gotta figure out ways to get the cheap flight and just work the system.
Yeah. So
work the system.
I know. I don't know if you use Skiplag. That's like my favorite app. Skiplag and Skyscanner. Like I set like a
Skyscanner is pretty good.
Yeah, notification just to send me like any type of deals that pop up on a regular basis. And sometimes I just buy the tickets to buy it. And you can buy the tickets and not necessarily use them at the time, but you can save them, basically pocket them and then use them when you're ready. So that's what I've been doing. And it worked out. Like I've been back and forth to San Antonio, and I know that's still in country, but I needed to do that because I have a house in San Antonio that I'm renting out, and instead of spending $300 round trip to go back and forth, and I need to go back and forth pretty often, I'm spending like $90 to $150 round trip, because I buy the tickets early when the deals come out. So, it doesn't mean that if you want to go somewhere, you got to spend a whole bunch of money. There's deals out there, people. So if you want to travel, go ahead and
there's credit cards out there. Hold on, Mike. So, if you travel back and forth from San Antonio that often, please tell me you got a credit card where you're that you're getting flight miles so you can start using those flight miles for other things.
So what I have is a cashback card. I don't have the miles card. The cashback card. All right, so
thumbs down.
No, listen. So me and my wife, we sat down and we kind of tried to figure it out which one was worth it. the cashback card or the Sky Miles card. And based on, the perks that comes with each, we thought the cashback card was way better. So that's why we did the cashback card. So we both have cashback cards. So literally everything that we purchase goes on the cashback card. Wait till it actually hits the card, and then we pay it off. Like, cause we already have the cash. So, as soon as it hits the card, then we pay it, and we're getting cash for that. So why not do that instead of the miles? Because sometimes you have to wait till you get like 20,000 miles until you can actually use it. You know what I mean?
Damn.
So it's not.
Yeah, true. That's a nice little hack.
Yeah, it's not worth it. And then the other thing is about mileage cards. What people usually do to actually get the free miles is they'll take out one, that comes with like 50,000 miles when you first open it. And then they'll use it for like the first 6 months, and then they close it, and then they'll open a new one so that they can get the 50,000 miles again for opening a new one. You see what I'm saying? So they'll try to basically maneuver their way around it to use that miles thing. I don't want to keep doing that, man. So I get something.
Yeah, man, fuck up your credit, opening up all these accounts.
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's too much headache. So I think this was a prime way to do it. And there's other means, you know what I mean? Like, but whatever works for you, I guess, is the best thing. Just don't be like one of those people to just go take out random credit cards and just charge all these flights to your cards.
Yeah, you don't be screwing yourself over. Don't do it. You're better off just backpacking across the U.S.
Exactly.
Fuck that. All right, so Yusuf, when you were in Barcelona, because sounds like you were there for a minute and you liked it so much, did you ever do like running of the bulls?
No, that's not in Barcelona. No,
come on.
No, I didn't do that, and I would probably never do that.
Why not?
Why not? That would be so dope. I want to do that so bad. No, go.
No, man, I watched enough videos to see how people get impaled. Like, I'm good. I'll be close enough to view it, but I'm not going to be out there running with the bulls, launching me.
Nah, bro, survival of the fittest, man. If you get impaled, you were meant to get impaled.
So
and if I don't go out there, I won't get impaled.
So did you do any like cultural things with at any of the countries that you went to, like specific to that?
Of course,
culture?
every country I go to, I try to indulge myself into the local culture, the food, the cuisine, the drinks, the music, everything. So when I was in Madrid, I got to watch Real Madrid. I went to my first soccer game, football.
Oh, nice! I know that must have been
Real
crazy.
Madrid play, and so you get to see like the best athletes in the world. The stadium was huge, and in Europe, especially Spain, football is life. So I remember that was the most ruckus crowd when I went to watch the best players in the world play. And it was just like a crazy energy in the stadium and just a feel. So I really enjoyed that. And every time I go back over to Europe, I just look for those type of local sporting events or just something like a local event to attend. That way I can just get more engaged with the culture there.
Okay.
And the people.
Well, so what's your favorite destination of choice?
Besides anywhere in Europe. Anywhere in Europe. Because you just heard that he likes Europe real lot, so.
Yeah.
Yes. So if I was to say top 3, Negril, Jamaica is actually on my list because Negril, Jamaica
Negril's pretty tight. Negril's dope.
Is quote unquote Bay. So I went to Negril, Jamaica twice, and I will be back.
Okay.
And then third is actually probably back in Europe, so I won't say. Let me think of another one. Let's see.
Is Singapore? You like Singapore? Singapore must have been dope, though, right?
No, Singapore was cool, but it wouldn't make my top. It wouldn't make my top 3.
Why? It's kind of boring there.
I wouldn't say it's boring. It was the culture. I mean, just like learning of the history of the country, the food there, the infrastructure, all that was really great and amazing. But if you were to ask me, would I go back there? No, I would. I mean, seeing it once was good enough for me. If I go back there through transit, going to like a long layover or something like that, I would do it again. I mean, I was there for what 5 to 6 days, and that was long enough for me. Whereas if I go to Barcelona, Spain, or if I'm in Jamaica, Negril, Jamaica, I could be out there for maybe not Negril, 'cause, like Jamaica's pretty small, whereas Barcelona's a little bit bigger. So I could just get around more. I could see more things. So
Okay, that's pretty
I
cool.
had enough of Singapore. That's the best way to put it. So I don't need to go back there.
Okay, well, Singapore has always been on one of my lists just because of the architecture out there. Like it's so futuristic out there. They have so
Yeah,
much
so like I said, I'm not knocking it.
stuff.
I enjoy my time out there, but just like would I go back? So people ask places where would I go back, and Singapore doesn't make my list, but it's definitely worth seeing though.
All right, so what's your number three? You still didn't get to number three yet.
Oh, okay.
Well, you said I can't name anywhere in Europe, so that's my third spot was in Europe.
Oh,
Oh,
It
okay.
was
okay.
Interlaken, Europe, and I was actually referred to a buddy from the group. You guys both know him. Julio told me about Interlaken, um, which
Yeah.
is in the mountains of Switzerland, and
Mhm.
it's beautiful.
Okay.
I remember taking one of these trolley cars that like take you up the mountain, and I went to one of the highest points of one of the mountains out there, and I basically walked for like 6 hours to trekked all the way like 6 hours, pretty much by myself. It was me and nature only. Even saw cows out there. There weren't wild cows, but there was cows out there. But it was just like being alone in nature, getting caught up in your thoughts,
Yeah.
just relaxing. It was just an amazing feeling, amazing experience, being in touch with the world, in tune with yourself, and just having no distractions. So it was really a surreal opportunity to be out there, and I would definitely go back out there because it was, just connecting with nature, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
Okay.
those kind of moments are like perfect. Those kind of moments, like they're priceless, man.
All right.
A lot of
So
people.
go ahead, Damani.
I'm done.
Well, all right. So speaking of animals, I just heard you mention animals. What was like the most exotic animal that you saw that you probably never would see, otherwise, if you didn't go overseas?
Probably a sloth.
Really?
What?
Yeah, I saw a sloth in Brazil, and like they are just as slow as what they show. Like they chill.
Oh, I didn't know you went
Actually
to.
quite entertaining.
I didn't
Yeah,
know.
they move very slow. It's like, oh, okay. So
Well,
it's like,
aren't they kind of cute? Aren't they? Because I always see like these videos on Facebook of people like, "Oh, I want a baby sloth. They're so cute." Aren't they kind of like like little cute little pets, kind of?
I don't know, just I don't know. I mean, if you like that type of stuff, yeah, I guess. But it's just I was more amazed at how slow it was. Like, wait, how? Like, it's just I don't know. It was hard for me to even like conceptualize. Like, wait,
It's
you guys are
really
really
that
moving
slow.
slow. Yeah, it's really that slow.
Oh,
So that
shit.
was probably one of the more interesting animals that I've seen, wild animals that I've seen.
That's cool. That's cool. So
That's pretty
you
cool.
went to Brazil. So are the people as beautiful as they say?
Yes, they are. Confirmed. Believe what you see on TV about Brazil.
What, say it again.
Believe what you see on TV about Brazil.
That's real. That's like the only country you could believe on what you see about TV. Yeah, my dad's been to Brazil a number of times. He goes to Bahia. He's telling me Bahia is like a gorgeous place to go and visit. I really want to go to Brazil.
Yeah.
At Sao Paulo, I really want to go to Brazil, man. Oh,
So not traveling out of the U.S. Next week, but I'm going to Mammoth Lake to go skiing, and I assume that it's gonna be super cold over there, man, and I'm actually excited, a little jealous that I can't go out of country because I would love to go to somewhere like Barcelona or something like that, but because of work, it's not worth
bro,
it.
you got sick days. You got plenty of sick days. Be like, yo, I got the flu. Bam, go on Skyscanner, find a Barcelona ticket.
No, man, because remember, Damani, why would I? So the thing is, if you're going to go to those countries, you got to go for more than just a couple days because it's going to take, 2 days by itself just to travel, like a day each way. You know what I mean? Especially from where I'm at, California. Like, it's not worth going for like 4 days, 4 or 5 days, and I only can get 4 days off. So, you know, I had to just use the days to go somewhere here where I can actually enjoy those 4 days. Because like I said, we were gonna go to Thailand. The trip was to Thailand, but I couldn't get the days, and I wasn't gonna go to Thailand for 4 days. I believe the trip was like somewhere around like 17 hours or something like that. Like
Jesus.
Layovers and getting there, and I was like, no, dude, this is not worth it. Like, it's gonna take a whole day just to get there and come back, and like 2 days wasted.
That's not that fun traveling that long.
Not at all.
All right, so so I mean, we went over a pretty good amount of stuff. We went over a pretty good amount of stuff for listeners out there. So whenever you guys want to travel, don't be afraid to travel. Don't be afraid to obviously use your money wisely, as Mike was giving you some little life hacks over there. I don't know, get a cash back, and then whatever the fuck. I don't know what you're talking about.
Cash back.
Well, look, listen, that's your hack, bro. I don't know your hack. You gotta teach me that. I don't know that yet.
Listen. What I said was get Skyscanner. Or
look, we don't got time to go over that all over.
No,
we don't got time to go over
I just had to tell you, Skiplag or Skyscanner, okay?
Okay, so there you go, guys. Skiplag, Skyscanner, travel the fucking world. Don't be a douche, and don't be an arrogant American. Open your mind and have fun. All right, correct. So any closing? That's my last bits and pieces of advice. What's your last bits and pieces, Mike and Yusuf?
So I'll let Yusuf go.
Live life abundantly. Go see as much as you can, and enjoy life. Have a great time.
Yeah, just to add on to Yusuf and Damani, man, you only live once, right? YOLO. Yeah,
YOLO.
Take as much advantage as you can of your life, man. It's your life. You only have one to live. You know, this world is beautiful. Don't be stuck in a box. Don't be closed-minded. These people that are on TV that are closed-minded are closed-minded. Let them be closed-minded, okay? Go experience.
And you gotta remember that they get paid to be closed-minded.
Exactly.
Fox.
Yeah, don't be like them. Be your own person. Have your own mind. Go enjoy yourself and live life, man. There's so many things out there to experience. Beautiful people, beautiful scenery, and beautiful country. You know what I'm saying? And it's all love. You know, we're humans, and we deserve to go spread our social experience.
Our seed.
Yeah.
Spread your seed around the world.
Well, you can spread your seed too.
All right, okay, I'm done.
All right, man. Well, this is coming to the conclusion of our show. You know, as usual, we have conversations about things that, you know, we like to do. We're gonna bring people on the show and have them talk about their experience and just have a good old time. I'm done with whatever I have to say, so I'll let Damani close the show out since he brought it in.
All right, so yeah, guys, we already gave our little pieces of advice. It's been a great chat. I can't wait to chat with you guys again. Bye. Good night. Sweet dreams.